What if the patterns that keep showing up in your life, like self doubt, fear of being seen, constantly putting others first, aren't actually yours? What if they were passed down from generations before you? If you've ever felt stuck in cycles you can't seem to break, then this video will help you understand why and help you understand how to start freeing yourself using human design. Hi, I'm Tonya, a human design guide and intuitive healer. I help women break free from generational patterns, reconnect with their true selves, and step fully into their power. In this series, I'm showing you how human design reveals the invisible conditioning that's holding you back. So let's dive in. What is generational conditioning? Now, we inherit more than just genes. We inherit beliefs, fears, and behaviors that are passed down through our family, through the culture, through the collective at large, and we can pass those down onto our kids and future generations if we're not intentionally making changes and being that cycle breaker now. If you've ever felt like you're carrying emotional baggage that doesn't belong to you, you likely are. And the stories that we hear growing up, wherein we hear adults or others around us saying, this is just how life is, we don't think that way, here's what we believe, or people like us don't do that, that really shapes our reality. Human design gives us a map to recognize where we've been conditioned and how to release it. This is my favorite tool for deconditioning. So, how do you know if you're holding on to generational trauma? You may feel stuck in the same patterns that your family struggle with. So, a scarcity mindset, and that's not always around money. That can be attention, that can be material things, it can be coveting jobs, or certain people only have that type of work and that's not available for me. It can be people pleasing and overgiving to others at the expense of ourselves. It can also be self-worth issues, and there's a variety of more. But when you feel stuck in those same patterns, when you see that in past generations, how many people have you talked to, or maybe you even said yourself, I don't want to do things the same way, I want to do it differently? Those are cues and insights that there is conditioning that's been passed down that you are ready to shift and change. So you can also feel guilt or fear when you're trying to make different choices, stepping outside of the family norm, the things that this is what we do as a family, or this is how we believe. When we start shifting and making changes in that, we might feel guilty, we might feel fear. It might be even a feeling like we're betraying our family, or perhaps we're even growing beyond them. And what do we do if we leave them behind? And that can create a lot of internal chaos for us. You might also feel like you're carrying emotions that aren't yours. So maybe you experience deep anxiety, fear, sadness, and you don't really know why. When you look around you, everything is great. There isn't really anything that's going on that's causing this fear, but yet we have this going on inside of us. You might also struggle to trust yourself. So, your natural way of doing things has been overridden by external expectations. Maybe you've been taught that that's not correct. That's not how we do things. You need to do it this way and only this way. This is how it's done. And it doesn't feel correct to you. So, you have this internal feeling that this is how I react or how I behave in the world. This is what feels right to me. But I've been taught and programmed that there's a different way to do it. And I have that internal struggle. So, human design can actually reveal these generational patterns and help give you strategies on ways to release it. So, your chart shows who you are naturally, who the natural you is, versus where you have absorbed outside influences. So, if you have defined centers, those are in your chart, those are centers that are colored in, the shapes that are colored in, and you have a consistent energy here. But family conditioning may have influenced how you express it. So that can be something that can be really challenging to work through if you don't really know what to look for and how to work through it. If you have undefined centers in your chart, if they are white shapes that you find, then that can be where you are most open to absorbing the family's energy, family fears, behaviors, society, culture, friends, peers. That's where we're really open to being conditioned by other people's thoughts, fears, beliefs, energies. So we're much more susceptible in those white or undefined centers, but also we can be conditioned in how we express the consistent energy of defined centers. So an example here would be if you have an undefined ego center, you might have inherited a belief that your worth is tied to how much you achieve. And you might find yourself constantly trying to do more, being the number one student or the overachiever. And no matter how much you try to do more, to be more, to follow the rules, to lead and live by the example that you were given, you never feel like you're enough. You always feel like you're trying to prove your worth. And it never feels satisfying. That is a hole that you will never actually achieve. The beautiful thing is the strategy of an undefined ego center is just to remember that you have nothing to prove, that you have nothing to live up to. You are enough. You are worthy just by existing. And so when we can let those expectations go, that's when we start to find relief. And we can see that in our design. We can understand more of those nuances within our chart. So, your first steps to releasing those generational patterns is to start noticing where you feel like you have to behave in a certain way, or think in a certain way, or put your attention and time and energy into a certain way of being. Especially in moments of fear, guilt, obligation, those times often feel heavy. Even as I'm explaining that, you can feel the heaviness that comes from those. So start noticing where you feel that you have to do things a certain way. And get curious about your family's belief patterns, behavior patterns, and even the culture at large. Friends, family, people that are around you all the time, maybe even in your work setting. Get curious about that and notice, what did they struggle with? How does that show up in your life? Where do you feel yourself struggling in those areas, or maybe even feeling guilt or fear? Just really curiosity here. And this is a time when it's not about judgment. It is simply curiosity, because through that curiosity, you're going to be able to really start acknowledging and coming at it not from a place of blaming and shaming, but just this is something that's bringing awareness into my life, something that I can work through. And then look at your human design chart and identify your open centers. These are your biggest areas that you want to start working on for deconditioning. So really pay attention to that. Now, if you want to uncover where those generational patterns are influencing you, if this resonated with you, your human design chart holds the key to exactly where these patterns show up for you and how to break them. So, in a clarity and alignment session that I offer, I'll help you pinpoint these areas and give you real steps to step into your unique energy. And if you want to know more, in the next video, I'll go even deeper into your energy centers and how they hold generational patterns. So make sure you are subscribed and watch this full series.